Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm writer coach Tony, and today I'm going to discuss how to write the chapter 1, the introduction chapter of your thesis. Um, so I think we've covered most of the parts of the thesis, but now um, some of those who watched my earlier videos are asking me, how do you write the introductory chapter? So normally, the introductory chapter has starts with the background of the study, and then it goes down to the statement of the problem. Then it goes to the research questions, and then after that it's free for all. No, sometimes they put significance of the study, the limitations of the study, and then the definition of terms. So that would be the usual outline. No? So you have six. So are the six subtopics again in the chapter 1 introduction? So first is background of the study. So as the as the title says, you have to give you have to talk there about why you are studying this, why you decided to study this. So you give a background of the study. At that point, towards the end of the background of the study, you now talk about the research gap. But normally for me, I urge my students to write the research gap at the statement of the problem. So maybe one or two paragraphs, you describe. So you give the background already, then you talk about the research gap. You said, okay, after my research, I noticed that there are no studies on this specific aspect, no, of my topic. So there you talk about your research gap. It's very important. Your supervisor will always look for the research gap, so you have to say it there. After that, you can now give the statement of the problem, and so usually the statement of the problem is a very um, broad. No, it's broad. So after that, you go to the research questions where you chop the statement of the problem. You say, you cut it down into pieces. Okay, it's for your own good, because as you make the study, um, it will help you zone in on what you really want to find out. So it's that part of the introduction is very crucial. So you have to be able to identify what your research questions are. So after that, so you're all set. The next parts are just limitations of the study. You just tell your supervisor up to what part are you studying. For example, um, if you cannot cover the whole a certain topic, just tell them, I'm just talking about boys here, no, or the study is limited to young kids, no, from ages 0 to 9 years old. So that's basically limitations of the study. You tell them what part you only concentrated in, because the reality is you really don't have the time and the resources to do comprehensive studies unless that's what you do for a living. But since you're just a student and you have basically just 1 year, 1.5 years to do your thesis, sometimes even 1 year, you have to compress your study, and that's why you need the limitations of the study. Then after that, you have the significance of the study. They follow an inverted pyramid. So you start from the most. Usually, you start with the students. Why is it good for students in psychology? Why is it good for students in whatever course you're studying? So you start from there, and then you go up to how does it help the country and the world. How does it help the scientific community? So you go from thin to really broad. So that's for your significance of the study. Some studies need a definition of terms, because especially if you're doing a certain study where certain words are generic, it would help a lot if you define the terms. Let's say you say psychology. So Psychology in this study refers to, or let's say mental health. Mental health, it's a very broad field. Stress is a very broad field. So in your study, you have to define it. I'm looking for the mental health problems of only these types of workers. No, so the definition of the terms part um, will help the reader of your thesis um, find out what you are really talking about. No? That's why you have to define your terms. Okay? So just remember, you have 6 parts. If your teacher adds more, it's really up to him, you know. But basically, these are the major parts of your introductory chapter. So number 1 is background of the study. You give your background of the study. Number 2, statement of the problem. Here you put the research gap. What did you find out? What gap in research did you find out? And you state your general state of the problem. Then you have your research questions where you chop down the statement of the problem into bit parts, you know, the parts where you're really interested in. The 4th is the limitations of the study. You tell what parts you cannot study anymore because of time constraints. And then you have significance of the study, where you tell why this study would help certain groups of people, no? Why it would help psychology students, why it would help scientists, why it would help UN leaders, you know. So it really depends. Your target there really depends on what your title is. So you tell the world why this study can be helpful to everyone. And finally, you have the definition of terms. So here you define the variables, the terms you are using in your study. Because although there's a generic meaning to every word, no, the way it's used in the study may be more specific. That's why you have to define it. Okay? If you have any other questions, feel free to make comments. And then if you want me to talk about other topics regarding research, please just tell me. Just go to the comment section and make your comments. Please, before you go, please subscribe to my Facebook, my Twitter, and my Instagram. And please, the most important thing, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much for your time, and keep safe, everyone. Have a great day.